After becoming a love-struck fool from the 1960s, the first thing I did upon waking was kick that brother-obsessed woman with the sky-high bride price to the curb. Her mother threw a fit and wanted to accuse me of molestation, so I slapped the label of landlord-exploiter on her in return, and the whole village took my side. They thought they had their sucker firmly under control, never imagining that my space was piled high with grain. Wang Shui cried and begged to get back together. Holding a bowl of braised pork, I poured it into the dog's basin right in front of her. I'd feed my things to a dog before giving them to you. I died. I was sent flying more than 10 meters by a red sports car, and at the moment my body lifted into the air, I had only one thought in my head. May this world have no women drivers. But I wasn't completely dead. I entered another person's body. A man with the same name as me, Li Youfu. He was born in the 1940s, in Lijiao village over 100 kilometers outside Suzhou City. Surrounded by mountains on 3 sides, and so poor that not even birds would bother to shit there. At 18, he fell for Wang Shui, the village beauty from the neighboring village, and from then on acted as if possessed, determined to marry no one but her. The Wang family asked an exorbitant price, a sky-high bride price of 100 yuan, and he would scrape together the money no matter what. His sisters emptied their households to help him. His eldest sister was left permanently disabled, and his second sister was beaten to death by domestic violence. And his fifth sister was sold to an old widower in a remote mountain gully, never to be heard from again for the rest of her life. His third sister and fourth brother cut off all ties with him. And Wang Shui, whom he simped for his entire life, kicked him to the curb after reform and opening up. By middle age, his family was ruined and his loved ones were dead. He finally came to his senses before dying, but it was too late. These memories played through my mind like a movie, every frame soaked in blood. I lay on the earth in calm, gasping for breath, my whole body drenched in cold sweat. A battered square table, adobe walls, a body so weak it trembled. October 1960, a famine year, and I had become him. I quickly accepted this fact. In my previous life, I was an orphan, with no ties or attachments. Since heaven had given me another chance at life, then for this Li Youfu who had lived like a coward his whole life, I would live properly and make something of myself. I had just started thinking about how to survive from here on when my head suddenly spun. The next second, I appeared in a strange space, 2 mu of black soil, a crystal clear spirit spring, a blazing red sun hanging overhead, and mist shrouding the surroundings. A spirit spring space. The fire in my heart flared up at once. These days the whole country was in famine. City people were tightening their belts, and in the countryside, being able to eat 1 meal of wild vegetable gruel a day was already a blessing. Even with money and ration coupons, you couldn't buy grain. With this space in my hands, what did I have to fear? I had barely collected myself when voices came from outside the door. Has Youfu gotten up yet? Not yet. He's still sleeping in the room. I recognized them. It was old Mrs. Wang and my mother, Jiang Zuohua. Old Mrs. Wang was a famous matchmaker in the surrounding villages, and today was the day she was taking our family to the Wang house to propose marriage. In my previous life, that spineless fool was manipulated today by Wang Shui's pitiful, delicate act, and from then on was doomed beyond redemption. I let out a cold laugh, got dressed, and pushed the door open to go out. A gray cotton jacket, army green pants, and a pair of rubber-soled shoes. In a rural village of the 1960s, this outfit counted as respectable. Old Mrs. Wang looked me up and down, then said with a grin, "Youfu really looks handsome in this outfit. You're too kind, Auntie Wang." I smiled at her, then called out, "Mom." Jiang Zuohua glanced at me, a hint of surprise in her eyes. The old Li Youfu had only ever had eyes for himself and Wang Shui. When would he ever greet people with a smile? She didn't think much of it, only assuming her son had suddenly come to his senses overnight, and urged me to hurry up and wash up. 5 minutes later, our group set off toward Wangjia village. It was only 4 or 5 li, but I was already panting from the walk. This body is far too weak. I made a mental note to myself. When I get back, I have to start exercising more. As soon as we reached the Wang family's gate, a figure darted out. She was about 1.6 meters tall, with 2 braided pigtails, and skin so fair it didn't seem like it belonged to someone of this era. Her faded cotton jacket was patched all over, yet it couldn't hide her proud figure. When she looked up and saw me, her face flushed red, and she lowered her head coyly. "Brother Youfu, Aunt Jiang, Granny Wang, I'll go call my mother right away." With that, she turned and ran into the house, perfectly putting on that pitiful, delicate act. I watched coldly, sneering inwardly. That pretty face really could fool people. No wonder that idiot in my previous life was so bewitched by her. Wang Shue's mother, Chen Xiuying, came out soon after, followed by Wang Shue's 3 older brothers and 1 younger brother. The Wang family had only 2 earthen rooms, shabby and run down, with the whole big family crammed inside, poor as could be. Chen Xiuying forced a smile and invited us to sit down in the courtyard. Jiang Cuihua didn't waste words and directly told Granny Wang to get to the point. Granny Wang said with a smile, "Wang Shue's mother, I've already told you everything. If you don't object, then today we'll settle the betrothal gift and then have the 2 children go to the village to get a certificate and head to the commune to collect their marriage certificate." Jiang Cuihua took out 50 yuan, a full 50 yuan. These days, the usual betrothal gift was 5 or 10 yuan. 5 jin of cornmeal was enough to get a wife. A betrothal gift of 50 yuan was unheard of in all the nearby villages. The eyes of the Wang brothers nearly popped out, and Chen Xiuying's eyes were also full of greed. I sneered inwardly. Here it comes. The good show is about to begin. Sure enough, Chen Xiuying spoke up. Youfu's mother. 50 yuan won't do. 100 yuan. 1 cent less, and don't even think about having Wang Shue marry into the Li family. 100 yuan. Granny Wang was stunned on the spot. She had been a matchmaker all her life, and had never heard of such a high betrothal gift. Jiang Cuihua trembled with rage and shot to her feet. Chen Xiuying, go ask around. What family asks for a 100 yuan betrothal gift to marry off their daughter? Are you marrying off your daughter or selling her? Jiang Cuihua, stop ruining my reputation. Chen Xiuying glanced at me fearlessly. Youfu, you also know what your reputation is like around these parts, don't you? Everyone knows you're lazy and good for nothing. If Wang Shue marries into your family, she'll be working like a beast of burden for you and carrying on the Li family line. Shouldn't you give her some security? Aunt Chen is right, I said with a smile and a nod. Jiang Cuihua's expression changed instantly. Youfu, Mom, let me finish. I pressed down on her hand, turned my head, and faced everyone, saying word by word, my family doesn't have a 100 yuan betrothal gift. Not only do we not have it, even if we did, I wouldn't spend 100 yuan to marry a woman like this. Whoever wants to marry Wang Shue can marry her. I'm not marrying her anyway. As soon as those words hit, the people outside the courtyard who had come to watch all fell silent. Their mouths hung open, every one of them looking like they'd seen a ghost. Anyone who knew Li Youfu knew that this kid used to wish he could hand his heart over to Wang Shue. Yet today he was actually saying he wouldn't marry her? I had long since noticed that the fence outside was packed with onlookers. Back then there wasn't much entertainment, so if anything happened at anyone's home, the whole village would come to watch. This was exactly the effect I wanted. Chen Xiuying also noticed that more and more people were gathering outside, and stamped her feet anxiously. What are you all doing hanging around outside my fence? Eavesdropping? Why don't you hurry up and leave? I smiled and deliberately raised my voice. Aunt Chen, we're all fellow villagers here. Why don't you say it again in front of everyone, so they can judge who's right? Chen Xiuying's face instantly turned green. The faces of Wang Shue's brothers were so gloomy they looked ready to drip water. I knew exactly what they were plotting, using my bride price money to get wives for themselves. That's exactly what they did in my previous life. In this life, not a chance. Chen Xiuying panicked and secretly pinched Wang Shue. Wang Shue immediately looked at me with tearful eyes. Her voice choked with sobs. Brother Youfu, you've misunderstood. My mother didn't mean that. She just dotes on me as her daughter and wants to plan for our future. That's enough. I cut her off coldly. If it were the old Li Youfu, the moment he saw Wang Shue cry, he would have rushed over and groveled. But now, when I see this face, I only feel disgust. Wang Shue, whether it's a real misunderstanding or a fake one, whatever is between us ends here. I will never marry a woman like you, so give up on that idea. Wang Shue's face turned deathly pale, and she collapsed onto the ground, wailing, I can't go on, I might as well die. Chen Xiuying also started howling. My poor daughter, how did she end up meeting such a heartless man? Then she turned and shouted at her sons, your sister has been bullied like this, and you're still just standing there doing nothing? The Wang brothers stepped forward menacingly. Chen Xiuying pointed at my nose and cursed. Li Youfu, if you don't give our Wang family an explanation today, I'll go to the commune and accuse you of hooliganism. Good, very good. I was so furious I laughed instead. I truly hadn't expected the Wang family to be shameless to this extent. In this day and age, hooliganism was a serious crime punishable by execution, and they just threw the accusation out there. They were trying to kill me. Jiang Cuihua swayed and almost fell, but my 5th elder sister, Li Youfu, caught her at once. With red eyes, She was about to charge forward. Chen Widow, who are you calling a hooligan? How dare you ruin my son's reputation? I'll tear your mouth apart. Everybody stop. I shouted loudly, startling everyone into stillness. I stared coldly at the Wang brothers who were about to rush over, and said word by word, "Whoever dares lay a hand on me today, I'll make sure you rot in prison." They looked at each other and hesitated. Cowards. I cursed inwardly, then turned to the villagers outside watching the commotion and said loudly, "Dear folks, Wang Shui and I have only met 3 times in total. We haven't even held hands, so what hooliganism could I possibly have committed? Matchmaker Wang is right here. Ask her." Today, with Matchmaker Wang as witness, my whole family came to propose marriage. But Auntie Chen opened her mouth and demanded a bride price of 100 yuan. And when I refused, she slandered me for hooliganism. I fixed my eyes on Matchmaker Wang. "Auntie Wang, have I said a single false word?" Matchmaker Wang shook her head. "No, that's exactly what happened." The crowd exploded. Has Widow Chen gone mad? She dares ask for a bride price of 100 yuan? This isn't marrying off a daughter. This is robbery. Who would still dare marry a girl from Wangjia village in the future? Several women with daughters at home looked at Chen Xiuying as if they had knives in their eyes. I pressed the advantage and continued. I refused to pay a bride price of 100 yuan, and she slandered me for hooliganism. What kind of crime is hooliganism? A crime punishable by execution. I just want to ask, is there still any justice, any law left? How is that old Wang family any different from the landlord rich of the old society? The moment those words came out, Chen Xiuying's face turned completely white. The expressions of the surrounding villagers changed too. Only a few years had passed since liberation, and everyone's fear of the words landlord rich was etched into their bones. Once that label was pinned on you, even if it didn't kill you, you'd still lose a layer of skin. I think that Widow Chen is no good at all. A bride price of 100 yuan ba? This filthy thing that ruins people's reputations must be driven out. They're right. This is exactly what a landlord rich peasant is. Wang Shui collapsed to the ground, tears streaming down her face. Her brothers hunched their necks and didn't dare say a word. Just as the commotion was going on, someone shouted, "The village chief is here." An old man in his 50s, holding a smoking pipe, walked over. "The village chief of Wangjia village, Wang Weigua. Why aren't you out working? What are you all doing standing here?" Someone explained what had happened. Chen Xiuying rushed forward and grabbed his arm. "Village chief, I didn't. I really didn't." Wang Weigua shook her off and distastefully put some distance between them, then looked at me. "Comrade Li, I am Wang Weigua, the village chief of Wangjia village." "Hello, village chief Wang. I am Li Youfu from Lijia village. This is my mother and my 5th sister." I pointed to Jiang Cuihua and Li Yudi. "You've heard what happened too. Chen Xiuying falsely accused me of hooliganism. How do you think this should be handled? I am a clean and innocent person. I can't be saddled with this kind of reputation for no reason." Wang Weigua looked at me in surprise a couple more times. Faced with so many people, this young man was neither servile nor overbearing, and his thinking was clear. He was someone of note. He pondered for a moment. "Comrade Li, how about this? Let the Wang family apologize to you, and we'll call this matter settled." "Apologize?" Chen Xiuying shook her head like a rattledrum. "No, my family has no money, not a single cent." Wang Weigua's face flushed red, and I felt embarrassed for him. He was trying to smooth things over in front, while this fool was undermining him from behind. I found it amusing inside, but kept a straight face. "Village Chief Wang, forget compensation. I only want Annie Chun to apologize to me in front of everyone for falsely accusing me of hooliganism. Also, from now on, I don't want to hear any gossip about me having anything to do with the Wang family." Of course, of course." Wang Weigua nodded repeatedly. He shouted at Chen Xiuying, "Why don't you hurry up and apologize to Comrade Li?" Gritting her teeth, Chen Xiuying squeezed out 3 words through clenched teeth. "I'm sorry." Louder. "I'm sorry." I was overjoyed inside, but still wore a grave expression. "I accept your apology. I also hope all you folks can bear witness that Wang Shui and I have absolutely no relationship. It doesn't matter if she can't get married, but I, Li Youfu, still need to marry a wife. You all heard that, right?" Wang Weigua looked around, his face stern, and said, "If anyone keeps wagging their tongue, I'll skin him alive. That's enough. Everyone disperse and get back to work. Mom, 5th sister, let's go." I turned and left with Jiang Cuihua and Li Yudi. Soon, only the Wang family was left in the yard. Chen Xiuying's face turned from white to green, and she suddenly slapped Wang Shui across the face. Smack! The crisp, loud slap left Wang Shui completely stunned. "You jinx, you've made our whole family lose all face." "Mom, I didn't." And you still dare argue back. Chen Xiaoying slapped her again, her eyes red with fury. If you hadn't brought up raising the bride price, would today's matter have fallen through? We were about to get 50 yuan, but you insisted on 100 yuan. What were you thinking? Wang Shui covered her face, tears falling like beads from a broken string. The more Chen Xiaoying spoke, the angrier she got. She grabbed Wang Shui by the hair. I think you just can't stand seeing your brothers do well. I'm going to beat you to death today, you jinx. After leaving Wangjia village, Li Youfu and the others parted ways with old Madame Wang. Naturally, they had no idea that after they left, Wang Shui was severely beaten. Old Sixth, you're amazing. Li Yuti looked at Li Youfu with a face full of admiration. She had never imagined Li Youfu could be this formidable. Was this really her good-for-nothing younger brother who loved to eat and hated to work? In that situation, Li Yuti herself had been so frightened that she didn't dare say a single word. Yet Li Youfu had been able to speak eloquently in front of everyone and even make Chen Xiaoying apologize. My dear good sister, if I weren't capable, you'd be sold off to an old widower in the mountains as his wife, and you'd never get out of those mountains for the rest of your life. Li Youfu had lived 2 lifetimes, yet today he was being looked at with admiration by a young girl, and he couldn't quite describe how he felt. But he knew that he had finally changed his 5th sister's tragic fate. Life would only get better and better from now on. Of course, Li Youfu wasn't going to say those words out loud. Meanwhile, Jiang Cuihua looked suspicious and asked, Youfu, do you really not plan to marry Wang Shui? Mom, I'm not joking, I'm serious. Then Li Youfu leaned in close to the two of them and said mysteriously, there's something else too. I dreamed of our ancestors last night. In the dream, the ancestor told me that Wang Shui is not a good match. If I really married that woman, not only would I leave no descendants, but my family would also be ruined. Tui. You little bastard, what kind of nonsense are you spouting? Spit it out right now. Li Youfu looked serious. Mom, I'm really not making things up. Didn't you see it today too? Her family wants 100 yuan in bride price. Think about it carefully. Can our family come up with that much money? Jiang Cuihua frowned. In truth, she already believed most of it. Otherwise, how could Li Youfu's change be explained? It was as if he had become a different person. Given Li Youfu's temperament, if he had insisted on marrying Wang Shui, the only option would have been to find a way to scrape together the money. Thinking of this, Jiang Cuihua asked again, was it really the ancestors who said it? What else did they tell you? The other ancestors didn't say much, but they did teach me some skills. Mom, don't worry. Our family's life will definitely become more and more prosperous in the future, and we'll be able to eat meat at every meal. Can we eat big fatty pieces of meat? Li Yuti couldn't help swallowing, her eyes gleaming. Jiang Cuihua shot her a glare and said irritably, Eat. Is it like I've been starving you or something? And fatty meat, no less. Why don't you just fly up to heaven while you're at it? Li Yuti was so frightened that she hurriedly shrank her neck. Seeing this, Li Youfu couldn't help but smile. Mom, don't say that about 5th sister. Isn't it just a bite of meat? Even the ancestors said that our family's life will only get better and better from now on. My son really is blessed to receive the ancestors' protection. The old Li Youfu would never have said something so heartwarming. Jiang Cuihua looked at Li Yuti. Yuti, you must remember your younger brother's kindness, understand? If your maiden family doesn't back you up, there'll be plenty of suffering in your future. Li Yuti nodded hurriedly. I know, Mom. I'll be good to 6th brother. Good that you understand. Jiang Cuihua was very satisfied with Li Yuti's answer. In her eyes, a son was the real treasure. But when she thought of her son's marriage, she became somewhat worried again. Youfu, Mom knows you're a lucky person, but your marriage? Mom, I'm still young. I want to wait a few years before getting married. Besides, the ancestors already taught me their skills. So are you still worried that I won't be able to find a wife in the future? And what's so great about a village wife? If I'm going to marry, I'll bring you back a daughter-in-law from the city. All right. Mom will just wait for you to bring me back a city daughter-in-law. Jiang Cuihua beamed. Come on, let's hurry back. I still need to burn some yellow paper for the ancestors. Li Youfu also hadn't expected Jiang Cuihua to accept it so quickly. But that was a good thing. From now on, any changes that happened to him could all be pinned on the ancestors, which saved him from having to explain further. Soon the 3 of them returned home, and the moment they walked in, they saw the cloth sack placed on the 8 immortals' table. It was cornmeal. Looking at the golden yellow cornmeal, Li Youfu picked up the cloth bag and weighed it in his hand, estimating there were 3 or 4 jing. Jiang Cuihua didn't think much of it. It was probably brought over by your 2nd sister. In his previous life, Li Youfu had been so dazzled by the 100 yuan bride price that he hadn't noticed this at all. Only now did he realize that his second sister had also quietly brought over some grain. Mom, hurry and return it to second sister. If she brings the grain here, what will her family eat? If I remember correctly, there are also 2 half-grown boys in her family. Half-grown boys can eat their father out of house and home. That saying was not exaggerated at all in this era. All right, I know. I'll take it back to your second sister later. Seeing Li Youfu care so much about his sister, Jiang Zuohua felt a bit emotional as well. In her view, it was only right for an older sister to look after her younger brother. Yudi, go cook first. I'll go to the blind man and get some yellow paper back. Okay, Mom. The two of them arranged everything clearly, making Li Youfu seem like someone living off others. Li Youfu grinned, then turned and went back to his room. The spirit spring space was his magical tool for establishing himself in this world, so he had to study it thoroughly. With just that thought, a strange space appeared before Li Youfu's eyes. He was absolutely certain that only he could see this strange space. Other people couldn't sense it at all. Besides that, an additional piece of information about how to use the spirit spring space appeared in his mind. Simply put, while Li Youfu could freely enter and leave the spirit spring space, he could also operate it with his mind, putting items into the space and taking them out. This greatly reduced the risk of the spirit spring space being exposed. Otherwise, if someone suddenly disappeared from where they stood, wouldn't people think they were a monster? Secondly, the 2 mu of black soil and the small wooden house inside the spirit spring space each had different time flows. Time stood still inside the small wooden house, while the black soil had a 10-fold time flow. And that still wasn't the most overpowered part. The most overpowered thing was that he could actually apply his mental power to the black soil, producing an effect equivalent to fertilizer-induced ripening. What kind of concept was that? Based on the normal 90 to 120-day growth cycle of wheat, the black soil could complete the entire process from planting to harvesting in as fast as 9 days. And after using mental power to speed up ripening, this process could be shortened even further. It depended on Li Youfu's mental state. By his estimate, affecting just 1 or 2 seeds would exhaust all his mental power. Even so, this was enough to pleasantly surprise Li Youfu. But what satisfied him the most was still this spirit spring. After drinking 2 mouthfuls, he felt his strength increase by quite a lot, and it also seemed to have the effect of strengthening mental power. But this stuff couldn't be drunk in large amounts. Otherwise you'd end up like Li Youfu now, feeling abnormally hungry, as if he could eat a whole cow. Fortunately, Li Yudi had already started cooking, and lunch was very simple: a plate of stir-fried wild vegetables and a few wowatu made from cornmeal. Accustomed to the delicacies of later generations, when had Li Youfu ever seen something like this? But Jiang Zuohua and Li Yudi ate with great relish, so Li Youfu also picked up a wowatu and started chewing on it. His first impression was that it scratched his throat. It was simply hard to swallow. But he was so hungry that he couldn't worry about that, and it wasn't until he finished the second wowatu that he managed to suppress that hunger. Jiang Zuohua looked at Li Youfu with a smile. Is it enough? There are still 2 more in the kitchen. I'll bring them over for you. She had no idea what Li Youfu was thinking. Li Youfu swallowed the wowatu in his mouth with difficulty, then gulped down several mouthfuls of water in a row, only then feeling a bit better. Wowatu made from cornmeal was fine for 1 or 2 meals. But who could stand eating this stuff every day? Yet in this era, being able to eat wowatu was already considered top-notch food. Li Youfu understood all this as well, and quickly waved his hand. No need. Mom, I'm already full. Save the cornbread buns in the kitchen for 4th sister-in-law. Jiang Zuohua shot him a sidelong glance. Your 4th sister-in-law eats at the village canteen, so it's none of your concern. It's not like she'll go hungry, right? She won't go hungry, but she won't be full either. Li Youfu muttered to himself inwardly. Next year, which is in another 2 months, they won't have to eat at the village canteen every day. Jiang Zuohua said irritably. It's good enough to have something to eat. Over by Beihu and Dongshan, I heard even the tree bark has been gnawed clean. More than just the bark being gnawed clean. In fact, Li Youfu knew even more clearly than Jiang Zuohua. Especially in the populous province of Nanha, it was simply a living hell. It was only because of Wangjia village's geographic location, backed by several large mountains and supported by a few rivers, that things were a little better, though they were still affected to some extent. Thinking of this, Li Youfu took a deep breath. Mom, I'll go take a look around the back mountain in a bit. The back mountain? Jiang Zuohua was startled. What are you going to the back mountain for? The wild boars there are fierce, and there are black bears too. Last year, when the commune organized people to go to the back mountain to hunt wild boars, 2 people died. You know that. Jiang Zihua was afraid that Li Youfu had learned a bit of skill from their ancestors and would become overconfident, so she deliberately brought this up to warn him. Li Youfu had heard about this too. At the time, 7 or 8 people went, and they even had hunting rifles, but they ended up running into a herd of more than 20 wild boars. In the end, only 5 people escaped back alive. One of those who died had his intestines knocked out by a wild boar, and blood was everywhere. That scene, TSK. But after this happened, even when nearby villagers went up the mountain to dig for wild vegetables, they only dared stay on the outskirts and didn't dare go into the deep mountains at all. Mom, I'm just going to look around the outskirts, not into the deep mountains, so I won't run into wild boars. Li Youfu said with a smile. Among the skills my ancestors taught me was hunting. I want to go set a few traps and try my luck. Maybe I can even catch a wild rabbit or something. Really? Really? Li Youfu hurriedly assured her. In front of Jiang Zihua, Li Youfu naturally wouldn't reveal his original plan. Besides, with the spirit spring space in his possession, if he encountered danger, Li Youfu could immediately hide in the spirit spring space. What was danger to others was instead an opportunity for Li Youfu. And the game in the mountains, in later generations, wasn't something just anyone could eat whenever they wanted. Not to mention things farther off, tiger bones, tiger penis, bear paws. Those were all good stuff. Just thinking about it made Li Youfu swallow several times. Jiang Zihua thought for a moment. All right then, go early and come back early. But you absolutely must not go into the deep mountains. Mom, I'm not stupid. You still treat me like a child. Li Youfu grinned. Then he took a shovel. At the same time, things were not nearly so harmonious at Wang Shue's home. Wang Shue was first severely scolded by Chen Xiuying, and with injuries all over her body, she still had to chop firewood and cook. What she made was wild vegetable mush. Boil a pot of water, add a few leaves of wild vegetables, then add a small handful of cornmeal and stir hard. With no oil and little salt, it was not only bad tasting, it also scratched the throat. Wang Shue's older brothers and Chen Xiuying each held a bowl of wild vegetable mush and ate with relish, while Wang Shue could only watch them gobble it down eagerly, constantly swallowing her saliva. Mom, I'm hungry. Smack. Chen Xiuying shouted angrily. You still have the nerve to say you're hungry? Why don't you just starve to death, you worthless girl? You've caused your brothers to be unable to find wives. I think you're deliberately trying to make my Wang family line die out. Mom, I didn't. I really didn't. I just wanted my brothers to have a bit more money to marry wives. I absolutely did not mean that. Wang Shue's tears kept falling patter by patter as she looked helplessly at her brothers. Big brother, please tell Mom for me. I really didn't mean that. Wang Jun said angrily. I think Mom is right. You just don't want me to get married. Her second brother, Wang Chong, chimed in. Xiaoxua, it's not that I'm criticizing you. But from the start, I thought a bride price of 50 yuan was already more than enough. Yet you still wanted 100 yuan. Aren't you just forcing Li Youfu to go back on his word? Exactly. A snake trying to swallow an elephant out of greed. Third brother Wang Lei let out a cold snort. Large tears rolled down Wang Shue's face, and she felt utterly wronged. It wasn't her fault alone, but the result of the whole family discussing it together. If there had been 100 yuan, all 3 brothers could have gotten wives. And now they were pushing all the blame onto her alone. Chen Xiuying glared in fury. Go find Li Youfu right now and tell him you agree to a bride price of 50 yuan. He likes you that much, so he will definitely agree. I don't care whether you beg or cry, but if you make your brothers unable to get wives, I'll sell you off to the mountains to be the wife of an old widower. Did you hear that? An old widower in the mountains. Was that something this frail body of hers could endure? Wang Shue's body trembled, and her eyes were clearly filled with fear. Mom, I understand. Li Youfu still had no idea what had happened at Wang Shue's home. With a shovel slung over his shoulder, he walked toward the mountain behind the backyard. The trip was 7 or 8 li, yet this time it took only half an hour. Spirit spring water really was good stuff. Not only had it greatly increased his strength, it had also improved his physical condition quite a bit. If drinking this stuff didn't make him feel unbearably hungry, Li Youfu would want to gulp down a couple more mouthfuls right now. Thinking this, he quickened his pace again. This area was still on the outskirts of the mountain, and through the woods he could still vaguely see women and children digging wild vegetables. After walking for nearly another hour and reaching the deep mountains, Li Youfu also slowed down and stopped following the mountain path. Soon, he came to a patch of low-lying ground, and seeing the surrounding tree bark rubbed smooth and shiny, along with the relatively clear wild boar hoofprints left on the ground, Li Youfu knew he had come to the right place. There had to be wild boars nearby. he found a somewhat darker spot. By chance, the sunlight was blocked by a section of tree, and it was also right on the route the wild boar tracks would have to pass. Digging a trap here would hide it from the wild boar's sight to the greatest extent possible. If he could use food as bait, Li Youfu wouldn't have to go to so much trouble. Thinking about this as he dug with the shovel, it took Li Youfu nearly half an hour to dig a trap 1.5 meters long, 1 meter wide, and 1 meter deep. After finishing all this, he already felt like his arms were no longer his own. If not for the determination to eat meat supporting him, he really wouldn't have been able to keep going. After resting a bit more, Li Youfu used the shovel to level the area around the trap, then sharpened a few thicker branches and buried them inside it. Now all that was left was to get some wild fruit to use as bait, and to cover the trap with loose branches. However, when Li Youfu looked up, he was first stunned, then overwhelmed by a surge of delight. A bird's nest? When Li Youfu raised his eyes, he unexpectedly saw a huge bird's nest on a tree fork more than 10 meters above the ground. It was probably about the size of a wash basin, but he had no idea whether there were any bird eggs inside. Just thinking about it made Li Youfu crave it. He asked himself and knew he wasn't someone particularly greedy for food, but he had never expected that after transmigrating into this body. As soon as he thought of all those delicacies from later generations, Li Youfu would unconsciously swallow his saliva. What kind of sin had he committed? Wanting to eat but being unable to. This wasn't a height of 1 or 2 meters, but more than 10 meters. Even if Li Youfu had maxed out his tree climbing skill and struggled all the way to the top, if there were no bird eggs in the nest, he would probably be furious to death. As he was thinking, Li Youfu's hand had already touched the thick tree trunk. And just then, his vision blurred, and a huge bird's nest suddenly appeared in the spirit spring space. Damn, so this works too. Li Youfu's eyes went wide. He had tested it before. Only by physically touching an item could he store it in the space. He had never thought of using a medium. This accidental storing of the bird's nest into the space seemed to open the door to a whole new world for Li Youfu. Inside the nest, besides 6 bird eggs, there was also a bird whose name he didn't know. Its colors were vivid, and its feathers looked very beautiful. But after entering the space, it became completely motionless. Li Youfu tried again to use a medium to put the bird's nest back. Gag. With a bird cry, it instantly flapped its wings and flew into midair, seemingly still shaken. Li Youfu stood under the tree watching all this, clicking his tongue in amazement. This attempt also made Li Youfu realize a problem. After living creatures were stored in the space, they would become motionless, and only after leaving the space would they return to normal. Then, Li Youfu used a medium again to store the bird's nest into the space. Although there was one less unidentified bird, each bird egg was half the size of a chicken egg. This harvest was pretty good too. In later generations, Li Youfu's behavior would very likely land him in prison for life. But in this era, even tigers were one of the 4 pests, so what did a few bird eggs amount to? He felt absolutely no psychological burden at all. Even more rare, Li Youfu also found 3 or 4 uneaten pumpkin seeds in the bird's nest. Good grief, really good grief. It really was like someone delivering a pillow just when he was drowsy. Li Youfu had originally been planning to find a chance to get some different grain seeds to plant in the space. Unexpectedly, he discovered pumpkin seeds by accident. These were good stuff. Pumpkin was also a kind of staple food. Besides being highly nutritious and filling, this thing was also one of the high-yield crops. If the cultivation conditions were well controlled and water and fertilizer were replenished in time, the yield per moo could reach over 10,000 jin. As for pumpkin causing internal heat and lots of farting if eaten too much, Li Youfu automatically filtered that out. Why not look at what kind of era this was now? Being able to fill one's stomach was already good enough. Li Youfu first buried 4 pumpkin seeds in the black soil, leaving a distance of 1 meter between each seed, and also sprinkled a little spirit spring water over them. Then he concentrated his mental power on one of the pumpkin seeds and used it to accelerate its growth. It wasn't that he didn't want to accelerate all 4 pumpkin seeds, but that he couldn't. The pumpkin seed accelerated by mental power took root and sprouted at a speed visible to the naked eye and began to grow vines. Although Li Youfu had never planted pumpkins, he had heard that it was best to keep only 2 or 3 main pumpkin vines so that the pumpkins produced would be big and round. He didn't know whether it was because of the black soil or the spirit spring water. Li Youfu harvested a total of 11 pumpkins, each weighing 20 or 30 jin, and his mental power was almost completely depleted, as if he had worked continuously for 10 hours and only wanted to sleep. He forced himself to drink 2 more mouthfuls of spirit spring water before feeling a bit more awake. Just then, Cooing sounds came from the grass not far away, along with the sound of wings beating against the grass. Li Youfu immediately became alert and prepared to dodge into the space at any moment. When he saw clearly that it was two wild pheasants flapping about, Li Youfu broke into a grin. He crept toward the grass bit by bit, then placed his hand on the edge of the grass. In a flash, two wild pheasants appeared in the space, still frozen in their flapping posture. If wild pheasants were showing up here, there had to be pheasant nests nearby. Li Youfu searched around for a while and found 3 more pheasant nests and 16 pheasant eggs. He didn't stand on ceremony. He put all the pheasant eggs he saw into the space. As for the pheasants that had gone out to forage, Li Youfu didn't go looking for them anymore. On the one hand, the gains from this trip into the mountains were already considerable. 2 wild pheasants weighing over 2 jin each, plus 16 pheasant eggs and 6 bird eggs. The 11 pumpkins alone, each weighing over 20 jin, were enough to make this trip into the mountains well worth it. On the other hand, he had been in the mountains for quite a while, and Li Youfu was also worried that Jiang Zihua would be concerned. Most importantly, now that he had this batch of pumpkins, he could keep growing pumpkins endlessly in the space. After taking stock of this trip's harvest, Li Youfu took out a pumpkin, kept the pumpkin seeds, smashed the pumpkin into several chunks, threw them into the trap he had dug earlier, and covered the trap directly above with some fluffy branches. Unless you looked closely, you wouldn't be able to tell it was a trap at all. The rest was up to fate. Then Li Youfu left the spot, fully satisfied. When he was about to walk out of the deep mountains, Li Youfu glanced around and saw no one nearby, and quickly took the wild pheasants tied up with vines out of the space and fastened them to the shovel. The spiritual spring space was his greatest reliance in this world. He wasn't stupid enough to expose it. Li Youfu, Li Laolu. Li Youfu heard his 5th sister's voice. 5th sister, I'm here. From afar, he saw a pretty girl throw down her bamboo basket and run this way. Slow down, don't fall. Seeing this, Li Youfu couldn't help but smile wryly. But even more than that, he felt a warm current brought by family affection. After all, in another time and space he had only been an orphan and had never experienced family affection. But in this body, he had felt the care of Jiang Zihua and Li Yudi. Li Youfu set down the pumpkin and shovel in his arms and wiped the sweat from Li Yudi, who had run over drenched in sweat. 5th sister, why did you come? Because I was worried and couldn't put my mind at ease. You've never been in the mountains before, and Mom told me to come check on you. Li Yudi had only gotten halfway through her sentence when she froze, especially when she saw the pumpkin at Li Youfu's feet that weighed 20 or 30 jin. She couldn't help but let out a cry of surprise. This is a pumpkin. Laolu, where did you find a pumpkin? Are you trying to get yourself killed? What if someone saw you carrying a pumpkin all over the mountain? Li Yudi panicked. These days, people had gone crazy for a mouthful of food. She had seen with her own eyes people in the neighboring village get into a big fight over a handful of wild vegetables. Not to mention such a huge pumpkin. Li Yudi couldn't help swallowing. Wait here, I'll go bring the bamboo basket over. Li Youfu smiled. It's just a pumpkin, look at this. Wild pheasants. This big. Looking at the 2 wild pheasants tied to the shovel, Li Yudi was completely stunned. Laolu, did you really catch these? Didn't you see it yourself? Could it be fake? Li Youfu curled his lips into a smile. 5th sister, tonight let's stew the wild pheasant. Come to think of it, our family hasn't eaten meat in a long time. These are truly natural, pollution-free wild pheasants. They're simply not on the same level as the chickens raised on feed in later generations. Just thinking about it made Li Youfu hungry already. All right, Li Yudi responded, still not having recovered from the shock. Li Youfu urged her to bring the bamboo basket over so they could hurry home and stew the chicken. The 2 had just reached the front door when they saw a figure that should not have appeared here. And when that figure saw the pheasants tied to Li Youfu's shovel, her whole body trembled. Brother Youfu, Old 6. The person who came was none other than Wang Shui, whom Li Youfu had only drawn a clear line with that morning. Li Yudi's expression became somewhat complicated when she looked at Li Youfu, afraid that Li Youfu would let this woman lead him by the nose again. Seeming to notice Li Yudi's unusual reaction, Li Youfu smiled. 5th sister, take the pheasants back first, boil some water, and pluck the feathers. I'll be right in. As he spoke, Li Youfu handed the shovel and the pheasants tied to it over to Li Yudi. Although he knew that Wang Shui had most likely come at this time to soften up and make peace, he still wanted to see what tricks this white lotus could pull. Li Yudi gave Li Youfu a suspicious look and replied, all right then, I'll take these inside first. If anything happens, call me. Then she turned and walked into the courtyard. Wang Shui also noticed the 2 pheasants tied to the shovel. Li Youfu's family was actually eating meat. From morning until now, Wang Shui had only had a few sips of water, and she was already starving. Now, seeing Li Youfu carry the 2 pheasants through the door, her eyes lit up. If she could restore her relationship with Li Youfu, she could have a taste of meat too. At the thought of how delicious chicken was, Wang Shui felt even hungrier. At that moment, Li Youfu said coldly, "What are you doing here?" "Brother Youfu, I'm here to apologize to you." Li Youfu nodded. "All right, I accept your apology. You can go back now." Wang Shui was completely dumbfounded. This was nothing like the scene she had imagined. Wasn't Li Youfu supposed to pull her tightly into his arms the moment he saw her? Then she could go along with it and propose that the bride price be only 50 yuan. She believed that, given how much Li Youfu liked her, he would be more than happy to agree. After all, in her view, the only reason Li Youfu had changed so much was because of the bride price money. Little did she know that this body had actually gotten a different soul inside. Li Youfu curled his lips into a smile. "What? Do you need something else?" Wang Shui couldn't care about any of that now, and said through tears, "Brother Youfu, you know how I feel about you. I've already talked it over with my mother. The bride price will be the 50 yuan we agreed on before. It won't go up anymore." "Well, aren't you just so kind?" Li Youfu gave a cold laugh. "And then? Then, what do you mean, and then?" Wang Shui looked baffled. Li Youfu's smile faded. "You want me to marry you for 50 bucks? Let me tell you, don't even think about it. I will not marry you." Wang Shui completely panicked. "Brother Youfu, I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong." Meanwhile, "Mom, we're back. Back is back. Why are you shouting so loudly?" Li Youfu wore a smile, as if presenting a treasure. "Mom, look, what did old Six catch?" Jiang Cuihua came out of the house and immediately saw the 2 pheasants hanging from Li Youfu's hand. "My goodness, 2 pheasants this plump. They must weigh almost 5 jin together, right? Did Youfu catch all these?" Li Youfu took the pumpkin out of the bamboo basket. "Mom, look at this too. A pumpkin this big." Jiang Cuihua picked up the pumpkin in one go, feeling as if she were dreaming. A pumpkin weighing over 20 jin. This was the first time she had ever seen one in her life. "Where's your brother?" At the doorway. Li Youfu lowered her voice. Wang Shui came looking for him. Hearing this, Jiang Cuihua didn't even care about the pumpkin in her hands. She set it on the ground and stormed out into the yard. As she came out, she happened to see Wang Shui pulling at Li Youfu. "Let go of him. Our 2 families have already made things clear, so why are you still pestering my son?" Jiang Cuihua quietly squeezed herself between the 2 of them. "You little slut, if you think you can ruin my son's reputation, don't even dream about it." Wang Shui clutched his pant leg tightly. "Aunt Jiang, how can you say that about me? I've never thought of ruining Brother Youfu's reputation. That's for the best if you haven't." Jiang Cuihua put her hands on her hips. "Since our 2 families are no longer related, you'd better have less contact in the future, so people won't point fingers and gossip. You may have no shame, but my Youfu still has his reputation to protect." Wang Shui suddenly burst into tears. "Woo, Aunt Jiang, I truly like Brother Youfu and want to be your daughter-in-law." "Pa." Jiang Cuihua was practically spitting in Wang Shui's face. "If you keep pestering my Youfu, be careful or I'll tear that face of yours apart. Get out of here right now." Covering her face, Wang Shui ran off crying. Li Youfu gave a thumbs up. How had he never noticed before that his mother's fighting power was this strong? But it wasn't strange either. He, as her son, had always been a simping fool for Wang Shui. So even if Jiang Cuihua wanted to lash out, she would swallow this anger for Li Youfu's sake. Thinking about it this way, the original host really was a piece of work. He had missed out on far too much. Then his eyes met Jiang Cuihua's. Li Youfu grinned. "Mom, good thing you came out." Jiang Cuihua shot him an annoyed look. "If that little slut pesters you again in the future, just tell me. Let's see if I don't tear her face apart." After saying that, she circled around Li Youfu once. "Mom, what are you looking at?" "I'm checking whether you're hurt." Jiang Cuihua took Li Youfu's hand and carefully examined him all over again. Only after confirming that Li Youfu wasn't injured did she finally breathe a sigh of relief. "Youfu, if you can avoid going up the mountain in the future, then don't go. If anything happens to you, what is your mother supposed to do? And where did that pumpkin come from?" "Mom, I picked it up in the mountains, and there are 2 more I didn't bring back." Li Youfu told a lie, and there was no way they could take Li Youfu into the mountains to verify it anyway. At worst, he could just say he forgot the location. But things were far simpler than Li Youfu had imagined. Jiang Cuihua hadn't doubted him at all. 2 more? Jiang Cuihua's voice was trembling. Come on, let's go back and talk first." Once inside, the 3 of them stared wide-eyed at the things Li Youfu had brought back on the ground. Jiang Cuihua pulled Li Youfu down to sit. "Youfu, with such a big pumpkin, our family can't finish it all. What I mean is, Cut half of it and send it to your grandparents. Li Youfu scratched his head. Mom, I have no objection to giving some to Grandpa and Grandma, but won't half be too little? Smack. Jiang Cuihua gave him an annoyed slap on the back. What nonsense are you talking about? This is food. These days no family has it easy. Since you have such a heart, your grandparents didn't dote on you for nothing. Li Youfu grinned foolishly and said, okay, half it is. And let's give Grandpa and Grandma one of the pheasants too, so they can have a taste of meat. Jiang Cuihua slapped her thigh. We'll do as my son says. Yudi, go to the kitchen and get a knife, cut half the pumpkin and pack it up. And pack one pheasant too. In a bit, have your younger brother deliver them to your grandparents. Okay, Mom. Li Yudi swiftly picked up the pumpkin and went into the kitchen. Mom, let fifth sister go instead. I don't want to move anymore. Jiang Cuihua had originally wanted Li Youfu to go and show his face. What parent wouldn't want to show off a capable son? But seeing how exhausted Li Youfu was, she felt terribly sorry for him. Li Yudi came out of the kitchen carrying half a pumpkin. Mom, I'll go deliver it. Let Lao Lu get some proper rest. Jiang Cuihua gave a hum of agreement. Make sure to tell your grandparents clearly that this is Youfu's gift of filial respect to the two of them. Got it, Mom. Li Yudi hoisted the bamboo basket onto her back and went out the door, running into her fourth sister-in-law Zhang Yumei head-on. Fourth sister-in-law. Yudi, where are you going? I'm going to Grandpa and Grandma's place, and we'll be back soon. Fourth sister-in-law, you go back first and start cooking. Li Youfu's grandparents' house was not far from here, only about a 10-minute walk round trip. Then they saw two figures, one big and one small. Mom, little brother-in-law. Jiang Cuihua responded with a sound of acknowledgement. Li Youfu said with a beaming smile, Fourth sister-in-law, you're back. Fourth sister-in-law Zhang Yumei was a typical rural woman, honest and dutiful. Her skin had that healthy wheat-colored tone, her features were regular, and she wore two braided pigtails. She wore a patched cotton jacket that had been washed so many times it had faded a little white, yet it still could not hide her impressive figure. In her hand, she led a little girl not yet 2 years old, her hair a messy tangle. But she was very pretty, especially her pair of bright, watery eyes. She was just thin and small, and there were still scraps of food around her mouth that hadn't been wiped clean. Her clothes were filthy too, so dirty their color couldn't be made out, and they didn't fit her either. So our family's eldest girl is back. Come, hurry over to your sixth uncle and see what good things sixth uncle brought you. Li Youfu had a smile on his face as he pulled 2 pheasant eggs out of his pocket, as if performing magic. Yeah. The little girl still couldn't speak very clearly, but when she saw the pheasant eggs, her eyes instantly lit up. Who could resist a cute child? Unless that child wasn't cute at all. Come, let sixth uncle hold you. Li Youfu reached out and picked up the little girl, placing the 2 pheasant eggs into her tiny hands. This, Zhang Yumei was at a complete loss, with an expression like she'd seen a ghost. Little brother-in-law, Daya is dirty. Daya, hurry and get down from your sixth uncle. If you get your sixth uncle's clothes dirty, just see how I'll deal with you. Li Youfu waved his hand. Fourth sister-in-law, Daya is so little. Don't scare the child. Go make dinner first. I'll watch Daya for you. Fourth son's wife, just listen to Youfu. Jiang Cuihua had spoken, so Zhang Yumei could only head into the kitchen. The moment she entered the kitchen, Zhang Yumei got a fright. Mom, there's a chicken in the kitchen, and half a pumpkin too. Li Youfu was washing the little girl's hands in his arms and called out toward the kitchen. Fourth sister-in-law, stew the chicken and cut the pumpkin into chunks and steam it in the pot. When it's almost done steaming, mix it together with cornmeal. It tastes especially sweet. Jiang Cuihua smiled brightly. Just do as your little brother-in-law says. Boil a pot of water, and I'll pluck the feathers. Okay, Mom. Zhang Yumei ladled 2 scoops of water into the pot and added 2 handfuls of firewood underneath. The earthen stove burned fiercely. Only then did she voice her doubts. Mom, where did these things come from? The pheasant was caught by your little brother-in-law on the back hill, and the pumpkin was picked up there too. Some was even sent over to your grandparents' place. Zhang Yumei looked shocked. Little brother-in-law knows how to hunt. Jiang Cuihua nodded. Don't go spreading this everywhere. That's all thanks to the ancestors' blessing, who taught our Youfu these skills. Since you've eaten your little brother-in-law's food, you should remember his kindness. Mom, don't worry, I won't tell anyone about this. Zhang Yumei hurriedly promised, trying hard to digest everything Jiang Cuihua had said. Judging from Li Youfu's attitude toward Daya, little brother-in-law seemed like a completely different person. But having a younger brother-in-law like this made her very happy. While the two were talking, the water in the pot came to a boil. Jiang Cuihua carried a basin of water and sat in the courtyard plucking feathers, her eyes fixed on Li Youfu the whole time. Youfu, hurry and sit down and rest there. She's just a little girl, let her play by herself. Li Youfu grinned. Your sixth uncle will boil you an egg. After saying that, he picked up the little girl and went into the kitchen. Fourth sister-in-law, younger brother-in-law. Zhang Yumei stood up at once, then looked at Deya, who had been washed clean and spotless. Younger brother-in-law, I've troubled you, sister-in-law. Just put Deya here, I'll watch her. We're all family, why be so polite? Li Youfu took out the wild eggs. Fourth sister-in-law, do you think the eggs should be boiled for Deya to eat, or? The key was that he didn't understand either, whether a child this age could eat boiled eggs. Better to leave this problem to Zhang Yumei. Youfu, this is too precious. You should keep it for yourself. Later I'll make her some wild vegetable mush. That stuff has no nutrition. Deya is at the age when she's growing. Just listen to me and make it for Deya to eat. And these wild eggs too. Boil them later as well, one for each of us. Li Youfu took out another 4 wild eggs and placed them on the cutting board. At this, Zhang Yumei's eyes reddened, and she couldn't speak at all. Seeing this, Li Youfu quickly said, Fourth sister-in-law, you handle it as you see fit. I'll take Deya out first. Looking at Li Youfu's back, Zhang Yumei wiped away her tears hard. She had the feeling that after all the bitterness, better days had finally come, and that she had finally become part of this family. On the other side, Grandpa, Grandma, I've come to see you. Yudi, why have you come? Did something happen at home? Li Youfu's grandfather, Li Shanjin, was only 62 this year, and he still looked quite strong. When Li Yudi arrived, Li Shanjin was sitting on a chair smoking his pipe tobacco. The old lady shot Li Shanjin a look and called to Li Yudi. Yudi, come in first, and then talk. Grandma. The old lady took Li Yudi's hand. Is it because of Youfu's matter? A few days ago, I heard your mother mention that they had found a girl for Youfu to meet. Grandma, that matter has already fallen through. What happened? The other party looked down on Youfu? Even Li Shanjin stopped smoking his pipe and sat up straight. Wang Shui's family wanted a 100 yuan bride price, and Old Six disagreed. So that was the end of it. 100 yuan? The two elders were both startled by the number. How could Li Yudi be any different? Seeing Li Youfu's changes, she still felt like she was dreaming even now. How much more is needed? Our family can each chip in a little. Li Yudi quickly waved her hand. Old Six said, whoever wants to marry her can marry her. He won't marry Wang Shui. Humph. Li Shanjin snorted. That's the kind of descendant of my Li family he should be. If he were really spineless, he shouldn't even think about entering my Li family's door in the future. What nonsense are you spouting, you old man? The old lady shoved Li Shanjin. Then Youfu didn't lose his temper, did he? No. Li Yudi quickly put down the bamboo basket. Grandpa, Grandma, I came to bring you things. She took out the pheasant and half a pumpkin from the bamboo basket. The old couple were stunned at once. This is for us. Li Yudi said proudly. Old Six got all of this from going into the mountains. The old lady smacked her lips. You should keep it and eat it yourselves. Don't bring it over here. Li Shanjin said nothing, but he meant the same as the old lady. Don't worry, Grandpa and Grandma. This was specially brought over to honor you. Half was already kept at home. Also, Old Six specifically told me to say that you mustn't be reluctant to eat it and let it spoil. The next time he goes into the mountains and gets something good, he'll bring some over for you too. When Li Yudi said this, her back was perfectly straight. That was her own dear little brother, after all. Oh my wonderful grandson. The old lady slapped her thigh hard. In all our lives, your grandfather and I never got to enjoy the blessings of our 2 sons, but we did get to enjoy the blessings of our grandson. Li Yudi let out a chuckle. Grandpa, Grandma, you'll have many more days of enjoying blessings ahead. Good, good, my grandson has really made something of himself. Li Shanjin was filled with mixed emotions for a moment. He didn't know how long he had hoped for this scene in his dreams. Grandpa, Grandma, I'll head back first after leaving these things here. Mom and the others are still waiting for me. Wait. Li Shanjin turned and went into the house, then carefully poured out a third of the sweet potato liquor he had treasured like a precious possession. Take this back for my good grandson, and tell him this is Grandpa's approval of him. Watching Li Yudi's departing figure, Li Shanjin felt deeply comforted in his old age. My precious grandson has made something of himself now. He knows how to care for people, unlike his father, who's been gone for so many years without even letting us know whether he's dead or alive out there. The old lady snorted. Don't mention that killjoy. I think raising him all those years was for nothing. Li Shanjin didn't say anything either. The old lady complaining about their eldest son was nothing new. All right, enough of that. Go call Chunlan and have her call everyone from the second son's family back. We're having a good meal today too. Don't forget to keep the giblets from inside the chicken. I want a plate stir-fried to go with my drink. As if, let's see how long that little bit of liquor of yours lasts. The old lady went off, beaming, to call everyone. Li Youfu had already come back with the bamboo basket on her back. Mom, I'm back. Did you give the things to your grandpa and grandma? Li Youfu nodded. Yes, I did. Grandpa also had me bring back some sweet potato liquor. As she spoke, she took out a little less than half a bottle of sweet potato liquor from the bamboo basket and handed it to Li Youfu. Old Six, Grandpa told me to bring this to you. He also said this is Grandpa's approval of you. Jiang Suihua's face was smiling so hard it wrinkled all over. You brat, why aren't you taking it? Getting your grandpa's approval isn't an easy thing. Li Youfu felt a little embarrassed by what was said. Li Youfu called out, Mom, is the food ready yet? I'm starving to death. Your younger brother hasn't even said anything, and you're the one shouting. Hurry up and come help. Coming. Li Youfu cheered and ran toward the kitchen. In just a little over a minute, fourth sister-in-law came out carrying 2 bowls, still steaming hot. She placed the bowl holding 4 boiled eggs in front of Li Youfu. Brother-in-law, you must be hungry. Eat an egg first to tide yourself over. The meal will be ready soon. Leave Dia to me to look after. I can feed her first, too. Okay. Li Youfu happened to be hungry too, so after handing the little girl to fourth sister-in-law, he picked up a boiled egg and tapped it twice. Pheasant eggs are a bit smaller than domestic chicken eggs, and they taste fresher. Li Youfu finished 1 boiled egg in just 2 or 3 bites, still wanting more. There were still 3 left in the bowl, but he didn't touch them. After finishing the boiled egg, Li Youfu watched fourth sister-in-law feed Dia. In her bowl was a small bowl of steamed egg custard, with no other seasonings. Yet the little girl ate it with great relish. Bite after bite. If fourth sister-in-law was even a little slower, Dia would make babbling sounds, and it was unbearably adorable to watch. Dia, is the egg custard tasty? Dia clapped her little hands. Ya. Li Youfu laughed. Dia, if you're saying it's tasty, shall sixth uncle make you egg custard again tomorrow? Ya, saying it's tasty. Dia pouted, almost on the verge of crying from anxiety. Li Youfu found it so amusing he could hardly stop laughing. Zhang Yumei frowned. Dia, you mustn't throw a tantrum at your sixth uncle. Otherwise, there won't be any egg custard to eat. Wah. Fourth sister-in-law, I was joking, don't scare the child. Li Youfu quickly picked up Dia. There, don't cry. Your sixth uncle will make egg custard for Dia again tomorrow, okay? Okay. Looking at the adorable Dia, Li Youfu couldn't help reaching out and gently tapping her nose. Put the child down already. What kind of sight is it for a grown man to be holding a child all day? As soon as Jiang Suihua came out of the kitchen, she saw Li Youfu holding Dia and teasing her until she giggled. It wasn't that Jiang Suihua disliked Dia. It was just that she didn't care as much about girls as she did about boys. Fourth sister-in-law looked embarrassed, and Dia was so scared that she kept shrinking into Li Youfu's neck. While coaxing Dia, Li Youfu looked toward Jiang Suihua. Mom, is the steamed pumpkin ready yet? I'm starving. The moment she heard that, Jiang Suihua instantly lost her temper. I think you're just here to collect a debt. Li Youfu chuckled. Yay, we can finally eat. Jiang Suihua divided the pumpkin among everyone, giving each person a piece about the size of a baby's palm. Li Youfu had told her to steam all the pumpkin, but Jiang Suihua couldn't bear to, so she steamed less than half and saved the rest for tomorrow. After the pumpkin was divided, fifth sister also brought out the chicken soup, serving each person a bowl. Li Youfu's bowl was the biggest, and it even had 2 big chicken legs in it. Mom, this is for you. Li Youfu picked up a chicken leg and placed it into Jiang Suihua's bowl. You eat it. There's meat in Mom's bowl. If it weren't for you, how could we afford to eat meat? Jiang Suihua put the chicken leg back into his bowl, and fourth sister-in-law and fifth sister nodded in agreement. Li Youfu refused and directly started acting shamelessly. I don't care. If you won't eat it, Mom, then I won't eat either. Hearing him say this, tears glimmered in Jiang Suihua's eyes. But she still didn't put the chicken leg back. Seeing this, Li Youfu was overjoyed. In that other world, he had been an orphan and had dreamed of having this kind of family affection. Li Youfu also distributed the remaining 3 boiled eggs to the 3 of them in the same way. This meal was delicious, and everyone was very satisfied. Only during the new year could they eat such a feast. And indeed, naturally raised, unpolluted wild chicken was absolutely delicious even without much seasoning. A whole pot of chicken soup was boiled, and the 4 of them finished every last bit of it. In the end, even the last drop of soup went into their stomachs. After the meal, the sky gradually darkened. At this time, there wasn't much in the way of entertainment. Other than sleeping, people just made babies. A family with 4 or 5 children was perfectly normal. After finishing dinner, Li Youfu returned to his room. And after hearing that there was no movement outside, he flashed into the spirit spring space. While Li Youfu was drinking chicken soup, Wang Shue's family was eating wild vegetable mush. From morning until now, Wang Shue had only drunk a little water. She had long been starving. But looking at the wild vegetable mush in front of her, and then thinking of the 2 wild chickens in Li Youfu's hands, she felt like she couldn't swallow it. It was all this Li Youfu's fault. If he had agreed to her, she would have been eating chicken long ago. The more Wang Shue thought about it, the angrier she became, her face full of hatred. If you won't eat, then put the bowl down for me. Seeing that dead-looking face of yours makes me mad. The moment Qin Xiuying saw Wang Shue's face, her anger flared up. For no other reason. The matter of the Wang family asking for a 100 yuan bride price had already spread everywhere. All afternoon, Qin Xiuying had been pointed at and gossiped about, just short of people stabbing at her spine. And that wasn't the end of it. A marriage proposal that had originally been arranged for the eldest, Wang Jun, fell through after the other party heard that the Wang family wanted a 100 yuan bride price to marry off their daughter. Your Wang family has a daughter, and other families also have daughters. Why does your Wang family demand a 100 yuan bride price to marry off a daughter, yet only agree to pay 10 yuan to take a wife? You brought this on yourselves. The girl Wang Jun was seeing insisted on a 30 yuan bride price no matter what, and even prettily called it less than 1/3 of what your Wang family asks. This infuriated Qin Xiuying. Seeing Wang Shue come back without saying a word and still wearing a deadpan face only made her angrier. Qin Xiuying glared at Wang Shue. I'm asking you, when you went to see that boy Li Youfu today, what did he say? Did he agree to what was discussed before and bring out 50 yuan as the bride price to marry you? Wang Jun, Wang Chong, and Wang Lei, the 3 brothers, all turned their eyes toward Wang Shue, who had her head lowered. Wang Jun shouted, Mom's asking you a question, so answer her. Wang Shue's tears kept falling nonstop. Qin Xiuying didn't indulge her and reached out to give her a hard pinch. Ah, a miserable scream rang out at once. The 3 watched coldly. Mom, I'll talk. Qin Xiuying bared her teeth and cursed. You wretch, you just had to make me teach you a lesson before feeling satisfied. Wang Shue sobbed. Brother Youfu didn't agree. What? He dares not agree. Wang Jun slammed his palm hard on the table. Wang Shue's body jolted violently. Brother Youfu must still be angry right now. Give me a little more time, and I'll find a way to calm him down. I think Mom is right. Since Li Youfu is unwilling to marry you, keeping you at home will only waste food. You might as well get married off sooner. Qin Xiuying nodded in agreement. Tomorrow I'll find someone to arrange a marriage. Our family's reputation is already ruined now. No one in the nearby villages would be willing to marry this money-losing girl. Looks like we'll have to find a family farther away, preferably one with no dealings with our side. No, Mom, you can't do this. I won't marry. I'd rather die than marry. With tears and snot all over her face, Wang Shue clutched tightly at Qin Xiuying's clothes. Qin Xiuying looked full of disgust. Get away from me. Parents' orders and the matchmaker's word. This is not up to you. Wang Shue looked despairing. Mom, if you marry me off so far away, I won't be able to see you again for the rest of my life. Trust me, give me a little more time, and I'll definitely find a way to persuade Brother Youfu to marry me. As long as I can marry Brother Youfu, I swear I'll definitely help my brothers get wives. Wang Chong and Wang Lei were somewhat tempted. Even if Wang Shue were married off into the mountains to be an old widower's wife, the bride price money they got wouldn't go to these 2 brothers. That money would definitely be used first to get the eldest brother Wang Jun a wife. If that happened, the 2 of them wouldn't get any benefit at all. Naturally, their little thoughts didn't escape Wang Jun's notice. He said disdainfully, You 2 don't really think that after she marries over there, she'll be able to help support the family, do you? Eldest brother, I'm telling the truth. Second brother, third brother, you have to believe me. Wang Shue hurriedly looked at her other 2 brothers. That brat Li Youfu can't even come up with a 100 yuan bride price, so what makes you think I should believe? That after you marry Li Youfu, you'll be able to help support the family? The Li family has money. I even saw Brother Youfu holding 2 pheasants today. What pheasants? The 4 of them instantly widened their eyes. Wang Jun asked, where did he get the pheasants? Wang Shue shook her head. I don't know. I guess he caught them in the mountains. Qin Xiuying was full of anger. That damn Li Youfu. He caught pheasants and didn't even think to bring them over to honor me. No wonder he can't find a wife. Wang Chong said anxiously, Mom, don't talk about that. The pheasants must have already ended up in Li Youfu's stomach. Thinking of how delicious chicken was, all of them couldn't help swallowing. Wang Lei snorted indignantly. Even someone like Li Youfu could catch pheasants. Heaven really is blind. Maybe it was just a blind cat stumbling upon a dead mouse. Wang Chong's eyes turned red, and though he cursed under his breath, he was insanely envious inside. All of you go back and sleep, Chen Xiuying ordered directly. Watching her sons leave, she then turned her gaze to Wang Shui. I'll give you another week. If you still can't coax him, then resign yourself to your fate. Got it, Mom. Wang Shui let out a long sigh of relief. She had finally gotten through this hurdle. Chen Xiuying sprayed spit as she talked. Why aren't you hurrying up to bed? Doesn't the oil lamp use oil? Mom, I haven't eaten yet. Eat what? Missing one meal won't starve you to death. After saying that, she left Wang Shui with only the back of her head. Wang Shui looked at the wild vegetable mush that had already gone cold, blew out the oil lamp, and followed after her. She was destined to go hungry for the whole night. The well-fed Li Youfu knew nothing about this. If he had known, he would have added that they deserved it. In the spirit spring space, the other 3 pumpkin seeds had already sprouted and grown green, tender shoots. And this growth rate truly gave Li Youfu a pleasant surprise. It really had to be the black soil plus spirit spring water. It was more than twice as fast as expected. At this growth rate, he would be able to harvest a batch in at most 4 or 5 days. Thinking this, Li Youfu smashed open the other 11 pumpkins and took out all the pumpkin seeds inside. There were over 2,600 pumpkin seeds, more than enough to plant 1 mu of land. As for the smashed open pumpkins, they were easy enough to deal with too. Li Youfu had already decided to go dig some traps in the back mountain the next day, using the pumpkins as bait to lure prey in. Fortunately, in the spirit spring space, Li Youfu didn't need to do the work by hand. He only needed to control it with his mind to till the black soil once over, and plant the pumpkin seeds in it. This saved Li Youfu a great deal of time, and it was especially easy to control, with no chance of mistakes. The spirit spring water was the same. After sowing the pumpkin seeds, he then controlled the spirit spring water to bring down a rain of spirit spring water. After finishing all this, a wave of drowsiness hit him. Li Youfu hurriedly exited the space and fell fast asleep. He slept dreamlessly through the night. This was also the soundest and steadiest sleep Li Youfu had had in both his lifetimes. It was more than 100 times better than alcohol-induced numbness or taking sleeping pills. Most importantly, when he woke up, Li Youfu only felt refreshed and indescribably light all over. It even had this kind of benefit. Then in the future, it could completely be used as a sleep aid. If those severe insomniacs found out, wouldn't they be jealous to death? And this was only one of the effects of using mental power. Morning. Li Youfu wasn't the only one up early. The whole family was already up at this time. Li Youfu went around greeting 4th sister-in-law, 5th sister, and the others one by one. Little brother-in-law, why are you up so early? Go back to your room and sleep a bit more. No, even if I went back, I wouldn't be able to sleep. I might as well come out and get some fresh air. At this time, there wasn't really any air pollution. The air he breathed carried a trace of the freshness of the fields, making people intoxicated. Living like this actually wasn't a bad choice. At the very least, there was no pollution, number 996, and no worries over a house or bride price. This thought suddenly burst into Li Youfu's mind and became hard to shake off. Just as he was spacing out, Zhang Yumei came carrying a shoulder pole with 2 wooden buckets. Little brother-in-law, I'm going to fetch water at the foot of the mountain. If Dia wakes up, help me keep an eye on her. In the past, Zhang Yumei would never have said something like that to Li Youfu. It was also because she had seen how much Li Youfu liked Dia. 4th sister-in-law, once breakfast is ready, I'll go with you. Across the country, 90% of people only ate 2 meals a day. This was even more true in the countryside. Every household was like this. Seeing the puzzled looks from the others, Li Youfu said, other families are other families. From now on, our family will eat 3 meals a day. Jiang Suihua said irritably, you sure can talk big, but where's the grain? Where's the grain supposed to come from? If we could eat 3 meals a day, who wouldn't want to? At this point, Jiang Suihua's tone softened. Youfu, if you're hungry, Mom will go steam you a piece of pumpkin in the kitchen. Li Yudi also chimed in. Mom, let me do it instead. Stop, stop, stop. Listen to me for a second. I'm really not joking. Li Youfu swept his gaze across the faces of the 3 women. Mom, 4th sister-in-law, 5th sister, trust me. I'll definitely give you all a good life. I'll figure out the grain. Just give me some time. If he weren't afraid of causing a sensation, Li Youfu would have wanted to smash the pumpkin on the ground right then and there. Of course, Li Youfu was only thinking about it. He would never expose the spirit spring space. But if he wanted the family to eat their fill and eat well, he had to get them to gradually accept the changes. Seeing her son insist, Jiang Suihua made the decision. All right, We'll do as Youfu says. Mom, you're the best. Go ahead and boil these eggs too. Li Youfu grinned, then took out 6 more bird eggs and handed them over. You little brat, you even climbed a tree? What if you fell? Jiang Cuihua recognized at a glance that what Li Youfu was holding were bird eggs. Even knowing Li Youfu was fine, she still couldn't help worrying. Li Yudi and Zhang Yumei, meanwhile, were left staring with their mouths open. How is old 6, little brother-in-law, so capable? Li Youfu grinned broadly. I just happened to see them, so I casually took them out. I promise I won't do it again. That's what you said. Jiang Cuihua raised her brows, a sense of pride rising in her heart. At the same time, she secretly breathed a sigh of relief. If he could take bird eggs, then he could climb trees. And if he could climb trees, he could avoid a lot of danger. Jiang Cuihua's thinking was just that simple. With just a few words, Li Youfu coaxed Jiang Cuihua into beaming with joy, while Li Yudi took the opportunity to carry the bird eggs into the kitchen. Just then, 2 little brats about half an adult's height ran over. Before they even arrived, their voices had already reached everyone's ears. Sixth brother, sixth brother. Sixth brother, are you up yet? You 2 little rascals, what are you yelling for so early in the morning? Be big. Big Aunt. Gooden. Erden, what brings you here? The 2 were the children of Li Youfu's second uncle's family. One 10 years old and one 8. The older one was called Gooden, and the younger one Erden. Half-grown children were still a little afraid when they saw elders, and they didn't know how to answer for a moment. Li Youfu beckoned to the 2 of them. You haven't eaten yet, have you? Whatever it is, talk while you eat. Sixth brother, I'm not hungry. Before he could finish, Gooden's stomach let out a growl, and his face instantly flushed red with embarrassment. Erden burst into giggles. Big brother, your stomach is growling. Erden, if you keep talking nonsense, believe it or not I'll beat you up. Gooden raised his fist, scaring Erden into loud sobs. No crying. If you keep crying, I really will hit you. Li Youfu quickly pulled Erden to his side. All right, don't scare him. Not having eaten isn't such a big deal. Later, sixth brother will steam some pumpkin for you to eat. Really? Sixth brother, you're really going to steam pumpkin for us? Children perk up as quickly as they lose interest. The moment they heard about food, their eyes immediately lit up. But there was still a bit of uncertainty in their tone. After all, in these times every family was having a hard time. Even when relatives visited one another, they had to bring their own rations. Because if you ate someone else's food, then they would have nothing to eat. Although the 2 little ones were still young, they also knew not to cause trouble for others. Li Youfu's smile carried a trace of bitterness. Children in these times really are sensible. Don't worry, sixth brother keeps his word. Jiang Cuihua let out a sigh. How would a grown man like you know how to do these things? I'd better do it myself. You just wait to eat. Li Youfu naturally heard the reluctance in her tone, but he only pretended not to hear it.